Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Invictus Racing League F2 League. Tonight we are at round 2, the Austrian Grand Prix, and for the first time this season we are finally live, and hopefully we'll have a very smooth night tonight. Very sorry we couldn't. The Grand Prix said we couldn't show it to you live. We did upload it later onto YouTube. Sadly, some technical difficulties put an end to that, which is a sad way to start the season. But alongside me tonight for round 2, I've got my good friend Charlie. Charlie, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. It's good to be back live and at a track like Austria where we know we're going to get some action. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one.
Absolutely, of course, these guys have already had one round under their belt on the shore. Going back tonight live to the track, and obviously in the opening round, as you just mentioned there, it has been uploaded to YouTube, so if you did miss it, you can always go back and watch it and try and catch up on all, because we did have a fantastic race, because France not always usually the best track in terms of overtaking, in terms of entertainment and so on, but we did get a real good race last week. But the analysis of it was Holtari took the win in a rain affected race from P2. Simply Superman had a fantastic race, really loved the wet conditions. It seemed from P6 he climbed his way up into P2, and the third place went to Speed Queen with a fantastic strategy, making the most of every opportunity and moving up into that podium spot for the three-time champion. We also saw some very good races, some very good drives as well. Beastas struggled as he went from pole position, dropping down to around P5. Nightshades had a very good late running in with Soy Samuel in the Mercedes. Both of them lost a lot of time. Nightshades lost his front wing in a bit of a dramatic few laps for the pair. But we saw a lot of good racing, Charlie. And of course, on that day, I believe you gave Speed Queen driver of the day for France. But Holtari was the one who took the win. Is he the one to maybe keep an eye on for tonight?
Yeah, he was very impressive last week. He was, well, it didn't seem the quickest in qualifying. I know he was only second, I think, but just in the race he looked a class above everyone else, really. He was so calm. He had Simply Superman up close behind him, but he just didn't seem fazed by his presence at all, and he just looked really commanding out front. So yeah, I'm expecting him to follow on from that and try and get a good result here.
Absolutely, of course, these guys just waiting to go green and start the qualifying session for the Austrian Grand Prix round 2, as we say. And of course, the driver lineups, as of course you may not have seen them, of course, from previous week. And in the Mercedes, we have Soy Samuel from Portugal and Blue Monster, Monster Blue rather. In the Scuderia Ferrari, we have Beastas, and if we can get his teammate in, Lozak should hopefully be joining up on the session as well in the second Ferrari. The Red Bulls is occupied by Meg Lubby and Nightshades. Meg, who's looked very strong in pre-season, didn't have a good race at all in France. He had a DNF. McLaren is SD Mats and Simply Superman. SD Mats couldn't join last time, so he'll be hoping for a good start to the season. Focky Good and Hailstone in the Renaults. TGG, Mashira and Holtari, those two lead the Constructors' Championship in the AlphaTauri. The Racing Point is occupied by Vagelis, and if I look down at my notes, the Racing Point is also Roy Boy, who was missing last week, and I don't think he's here tonight either, so a bit of a sad start to the season for him. The Alfa Romeo is Speed Queen and Lopezki. The Haas drivers had a fantastic race day after a poor qualifying in France. Mr. Steen and Ferocious Dan will be hoping for perhaps a little bit of better fortune in this upcoming qualifying session and try and make the most of clearly some very good race pace for the pair. In the Williams as well, we have M. Doran and Hulkenberg. Of course, M. Doran, a former champion in F2. Season 5, all those seasons ago, and of course he had a bit of an up and down race. He showed some good form, but I believe M. Doran had a spin in the middle part of the French Grand Prix, so we'll be looking for a little bit of better fortune tonight. So we're just waiting on Beastas to just load into the session. I think we're just about ready to go for the qualifying session. But in qualifying last week, Charlie, it was Beastas who got pole with a storming lap time. I think there's a lap time that would have put him 4th or 5th, or at least on the 2nd or 3rd row in the F1 tier. He set a lap time that was that competitive. Yeah. He really he has put an early benchmark down to show himself as a potential real qualifying master.
Yeah, exactly. He's shown he's definitely got the pace, hasn't he? But it's no good having the pace if you can't carry it over into the race. So that's what he needs to focus on this week. Just improve that consistency in the race, because obviously the pace is there for him.
Absolutely, of course, he'll be looking to get the most out of that Ferrari. I know Lozak, it seems, so it is all down to him on the Ferrari shoulders. And we'll go into the constructors a little bit, just as these guys get geared up, load their setups, load their fuel loads, and I'm sure we'll be going for the absolute minimum fuel loads. And I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of guys go out on those soft tyres. Strategy for tonight should be soft medium. Be a little bit harder on your tyres. You have to pit a little bit early on the first stint. You could well be going onto the hard tyres, and not a great race tyre. But they will comfortably get you to the end of the course. If you're qualifying outside the top 10, you could go for the alternative strategy of medium to soft or hard to softs. But looks like the first guys out on track are on the soft tyres. But we'll go back to the constructor standings right now, which stands at AlphaTauri on 20 points, 8 points clear of the McLaren team. As Simply Superman has mentioned earlier, a superb P2 in the opening race of the season. Bits McLaren in P2. Alfa Romeo, thanks to a Speed Queen podium, are currently sat in third. Mercedes-Benz showed a lot of pace, the two pair of Monster Blue and Soy Samuel. I think they'll be pretty disappointed actually with the resulting of France with P4. Oh, sorry, we've got a spinner, Charlie?
Yeah, Simply Superman just on his outlap, taking a bit too much curb, and he's just spun himself round onto the grass. I don't think he's going to get in anyone's way. Everyone's on their outlap, so yeah, he's going to have to quickly warm those tyres back up before he starts his lap.
And P4 it was for Monster Blue, and a P10 for Soy Samuel. Got a yellow flag sector 3. Of course, it's such a short circuit, only 10 corners to contend with, and it's going to be a real struggle for some of these drivers to get clear air on their first lap, as Nightshade's just backing out those last two corners. Got a Haas behind him also doing the same, so that yellow flag will probably come out quite a few times, I would imagine, during the qualifying session. Doesn't usually mean that we've had an incident as such. It's probably drivers just getting out of the way. But I think Nightshades has started this up, and I think it might even be Beastas who might be the first one to set a flying lap out of this little group. Got more cars to see just blending running, trying to get a little bit of a slipstream of one of the Alfa Romeo drivers there. I'm not sure who that might have been. It might have been Lopensky, just about on an out lap, but we'll see how the Ferrari does of Beastas. Of course, the original pole sitter for round 1 is going to drop it down to 3 gears into 4th, a quick upshift to 5th on the apex, carry a little bit of curb on the right, open up the left-hander. He's going to stick it in 6th gears, giving that a good traction. He's got purple in that middle sector so far. We'll see if anyone can better that. And of course, there's so much time to be found as Vegelas goes provisional pole with 1 minute 3.6. As we'll see what Beastas has got into his locker, drops it down a couple of gears for the final corner to hit the apex, and already into the 2.9s. That's a fantastic lap, and what a banker!
That is an incredible banker from Beastas. That's only 4/10 off last night's pole position time in F1, I believe. So that's looking a very competitive time straight off of the bat.
Absolutely, it really does seem to have qualifying dialed in right about now. But Hultawi showed he's got his race pace dialed in right about now. He's got a yellow flag. I think that's just a Ferrari getting out of the way. It might even be Beastas, but see what Hultawi can do on his first timed run. He's going to drop it down a couple of gears into the second to last corner. He'll have to try and find his apex. He's going to leave him in 5th. Should have quite decent traction coming across the line. Can he beat his teammate? No, it's quite a bit, maybe a little bit sort of sloppy that there for the championship leader. It goes only P8 for 1 minute 3.8, so got to find him near enough around a second. Oh, Mashiro has done a very solid lap time of 3.1. Another very good banker, Simply Superman back up there, and Meg Loveby up into P4, so maybe showing a little bit of difficulties here with my controller. It's Charlie. Have you I'm struggling with my controller.
We've got who's out there on the moment? At the moment, Meg Loveby is up in 4th position. He's just coming into the pits. That's a very good lap by him. Good banker anyway. That should set him up well for the session. He needs to improve after last week's DNF. Meg often does fairly well in qualifying and then can't carry it over to the race, so it'd be good to see what he can do in this race, see if he's been practicing his race pace. We've got a spinner on the track. It is Estimats, round at turn 9 I believe, facing into the wall.
Yeah, I think he might have just clipped. I think he's coming into the pit lane anyway, but I think he's just clipped a little bit too much of that inside curb, and it's a sent his McLaren spinning straight nose into the wall, so a bit of an embarrassing moment there for the McLaren driver. He's going to come in, change that front wing. He's still yet to get a lap time on the board, So he's going to have to see how that one goes. It's like Lopensky is about to start his first flying lap in the Alfa Romeo. Speed Queen also out on an out lap, so both Alphas yet to set a time, both Mercedes also yet to set a time, as it looks like it's going purple so far in that first sector for Lopensky. So we'll see what this lap does entail. It's still got quite a few corners to negotiate as it comes down this DRS straight. The speed trap is just around about here, just before the braking zone of turn 4. It's going to flick it into the right hand corner, and this is turn 5, this little flat little jink to the right to open up the left, double left-hander. This is a really good couple of corners, and we could even see a little bit of overtaking if we see some brave guys. And looks like it's going to be another purple sector for Lopensky. Only time will tell if this is a possible pole position lap time for the Alfa Romeo driver. He's going to hammer it around his last 2 corners to the right. It's such a short lap time, it's getting very much on the exit curve. He's going to go very much on the exit curve again, and he does invalidate his lap time. It looks like it's going to be a 1 minute 4.4 anyway, so those
Monster
purple
Blues
sectors
the line.
seem to be a line as Monster Blue does a 1 minute 3.0, which puts him up into provisional second place.
Yeah, I think Monster Blue was actually on a pole lap then. He was purple in sector 1 and 2 according to my my telemetry here, and he went wide at turn 9. He completely missed the apex and just scrubbed a load of speed off. So I think if he didn't mess up that last sector, he could have found himself on provisional pole.
Well, it looks like B-Sas is starting his second qualifying run, but it looks like he's already invalidated this run. Turn 1 is such an easy corner to invalidate inside and the exit. If you run a little bit too much curve on the inside, you can easily find yourself with an invalidation. Run a little bit too wide, you can, well, once again, you know the score, you can find yourself with an invalidation. It's one of those corners it's so hard to get right. Simply Superman, who's also on a lap, is struggling to find that little bit of a balance. It looks like he's invalidated as well. We're going wide on board with Hulkenberg, who had a very good qualifying session in France. The race did not go his way with a DNF, sadly. I think he had an incident on the first lap, turn 1, but we'll see what the Williams driver can do. This is just about to finish this middle sector, and he's just about matching his lap time. Only 3 thousandths down. Have we got an incident somewhere, Charlie?
Mashiro, turn 1, just been caught out by turn 1. As you say, it's such an easy corner to be caught out by. He's just a bit too eager on the throttle and the exit curve, and he's just gone straight round into the wall, and he's lost half of his front wing. So that's a qualifying run gone for him.
And Hulkenberg finds a lot of time in that last sector, so improved by 2.5 tenths. He's actually a little bit down on his provisional lap beforehand, so he's had a fantastic last sector. There's Mashiro there is the proof of the damaged front wing on the front right, and I'm sure we're having a very nice, slow, safe in lap to get that repaired. We'll go on board and ride on with Nightshades, who's just a little bit down on his personal best in the middle sector, but if he can really nail it around his last 2 corners, a little bit of a correction on the exit, and he's going to come across the line. Yellow flag sector 2 doesn't quite improve. Maybe just not quite nailing those last 2 corners as he would have liked. Looks like Hotari is still down in P10. We're going right on board with him. Round 1 race winner. He's already going nearly 4 tenths faster in this middle sector, so he could be on for a real flyer. We'll see the Apatori go flying around his 2 right-handers. So they're going to slow down a little bit more, just flick it in, try and get on the curb as much as you can. He just about runs the track limits to perfection, it looks like, and it goes into P6 with a 1 minute 3.4. And even though it's quite a competitive lap time, Charlie, P6, I would think he would not be happy with that of 9 minutes on the board.
No, he'd want to get higher up than that, definitely after his performance last week. I'm just riding on board with Meg Lugby, who's on a lap. He's currently 2 tenths up, so he could find himself up into possibly P5 if he can just nail this last sector, but it's such an easy sector to mess up round here. You've only got to run a little bit wide and you're invalidated. Let's see how he does. Comes across the line now. He improved by... no, was he down in the end? No, he improved by nearly 2 tenths, so up into P5, Meg.
That is much more like the pace we expected from Meg Lugby that we didn't quite see in France, but he does get himself up onto the 3rd row of the grid with just over 8 minutes left in the session. B-Stas is on another outlap, so he'll be back for more. He's still got that original banker that is still sat in pole position. SD Mats looks like he's just gone potentially quicker. I think he might even be on another flying lap, so we'll see how he does in this 3rd sector. He's a 2nd down, so I think he could well be on an in-lap. Speed Queen is still yet to set a flying lap in the Alfa Romeo. What can she do in this 1st sector? I know 15.8, so I think that's actually a fairly competitive 1st sector time. If memory proves me right, it's going to use the DRS down this little straight. We should see a lot of overtaking here with good fortune. Coming into turn 4, we can see some great battles through here, that's for sure. Can you try it around the inside or around the outside, and see some great overtaking on Monday night round is turn 5, and this double left-hander 6 and 7, lots of action, including the coming together of Scott and Samuel Papito last night. So can go all wrong if you don't want to leave the space, but we'll see how Speed Queen does it. Coming through the last sector now, we'll see how the Alfa Romeo driver wants to try and cannon through the field. Her teammate as well, Lipinski, still yet to set a lap. So Samuel still sitting in the pit lane. So either he's very confident that he's got a lap time in him and only needs 1 or 2 laps left to go. But Speed Queen goes up into P12 of a 1 minute 3.6. It's so close. I mean, we've got about 4 or 5 drivers there, Charlie, on a 1 minute 3.6 alone.
Yes, Bisas comes over the line and improves his time. He's looking like he's trying to squeeze 4 runs in. Maybe that invalidated run before helped him just squeeze an extra 1 in. But that's a very good lap time. He's looking like he's only going to get quicker as the session goes on, and he's looking like the man to beat at the moment.
And Monster Blue is the closest man to beating him, but it looks like he's invalidated once again on this lap. I think he might have even done it at turn 1 for potentially the second flying lap in succession for him, so I'm sure I'll be a little bit disappointed with that. We're going to ride on board with the Williams of Hulkenberger, see how he's doing. And the number 13 car there just coming around turn 3, a little bit of a squirm on the exit as he plants a throttle. Of course, max engine mode, I'm sure, lowest fuel mode, lowest fuel amount in the car is going to hammer it around this corner downhill to the right hand side. Easy to lock a wheel. Looks like one of the Mercedes getting kindly out of the way for him there, as he's going to probably drop it down a couple of gears. See the disc brakes glowing bright orange there. He's got a Racing Point in front of him. Be a little bit of an eyesore for the Williams driver. Let's hope the Racing Point sees him and gets out of the way. The Racing Point doesn't look like he just about sees him at the last moment. Perhaps a little bit off-putting for the Williams driver. Is going to hammer it around that second to last corner. It's right on the edge with track limits, and in fact he has just invalidated, but see how he does. Would it have been any faster for Hulkenberger? No, it does not improve anyway.
Right on board with Monster Blue, who's heading up to the end of Sector 1 now. He's half a tenth up on his time, and as I said before, he was purple in Sector 1 and 2, so if he's half a tenth up on his own time right now, this could be looking like a very competitive lap. But I think he's just backed out of it, actually. Very strange.
It is very
Maybe
strange.
he had a DRS failure. I saw at the bottom of my screen his DRS wasn't activated. I think he's looking like he's had a DRS failure, and if he has on that lap, that is incredibly unfortunate for Monster Blue.
Yeah, I mean, I've had these sort of things in a race. I don't think I've had them on a qualifying session, so I think that is particularly rotten luck for him. We'll just go on board and ride on with his teammate Soy Samuel in the Mercedes, as the Racing Point just dives out of the way to the right hand side. He's not got a lap time on the board. It's less than 5 minutes on the session, so he really needs to nail this last couple of corners, and in fact he's just taking a little bit too much curve on the inside, and you can see the frustration weaving left to right. He's done a 1 minute 3.4, which would have been good enough for around 6th position on the 3rd row, so it would have been a very decent banker there for the Mercedes driver, but it just took a little bit too much curve, and that just forced him a little bit wide. And we know how strict the corner cuttings are on that last corner. It's got to be a little bit wise here, because I think the Racing Point behind him, or Vagelis, is on a flying lap, and I think he's just about seeing him coming. So go on board and ride on board with the Racing Point. Quite a few people sat into the pit lane, 4 minutes to go. They've likely only got time for just about one more run, so I'm sure they'll be looking at the telemetry, looking at their personal best, seeing and knowing what they're all capable of, and seeing what they can do. It's a little bit of luck here for Vagelis. We'll see what he can do through turns 6 and 7. He's gone very wide through the 6, and that's going to invalidate his lap time, which is a real shame for him, because he was just under 2 tenths of a second up for the number 21 Racing Point. We'll see how Nightshades is doing in the Red Bull. Looks like he's a little bit slower, and looks like I think got Hultari also on a flying lap, just a little bit further up on the road. We'll see how he can do through 6 and 7. Does he invalidate, or can he keep it between the black and white lines? He's just about slower in this middle sector. He's got a little bit deep there through 7. Might compromise his exit through 8. He's going right in the middle. He could well be coming in for the pit lane, and I think that might just be a strategic call there, because he knew he wasn't really up on his time. He knows he's got to find a lot of time to get where he's going to want to be. I think he's just made a call there to come in and try again, because he knows if he completes that lap, he won't have time for another one.
Yeah, definitely. As you say, if he went round again, that would be it, and that would be his quality session over. So he's got time now just to quickly get in, and if he's got another fresh set of tyres, pop them on. But we've got most of the grid at the moment in the pits, waiting for the optimal time to come out and do their final runs.
victim of the track limits. Lap. Got to get such a good exit. You can really fly so much speed through the apex, and when you nail it, you can find so much time. Good, easy 1-2 temps on your lap straight away if you do hit it to perfection. I think the Hellsame was just trying that, but it just went a little bit too wide, and it's just cost him a chance. Just cost him another chance of a lap time. I'm sure he'll be trying to get back to the pits as soon as he can, but I think he might be running out of time here. But everyone's still in the pits, Charlie. It looks like it's Beastlasses to lose though.
It is definitely Beastlasses to lose. He's got Monster Blue, who we also know is very quick. He just needs to hook up a lap, but if he has still got that DRS problem, which I think he might have, it could really hold him back here. And Mashiro's not too far behind either. Let's see if he's got any time in his pocket. But it's looking like really that the first 3 or 4 drivers are just a little bit ahead of the rest of the field.
There's Lopensky coming into turn 3, a little bit up, and got a little bit of a slipstream off the provisional pole sitter of Beastlass, and he's going to come through this middle sector now, coming down the hill into turn 4. Use all the entrance curb on the left hand side, little lock up on the front right. I'm sure I won't bother him too much. Just a couple of short shifts on the exit, get the speed up the hill again, using all the entrance curb on the right hand side. Take it down a couple of gears, using all the curbs available to him, using all the track to open up this very fast and twisty section. And we'll see how we can do in this last sector. At the moment, he's last of those who are set a lap, down into P16, the Alfa Romeo driver. So he has got a lot of time to find Lopensky. So he's been a little bit cautious around these last 2 corners. Does he know? Has he got a lot of time on his boards? He's going to do a 1:04 flat, so it does improve by a couple of tenths. It does improve by 1 position, but I'm sure he'll be a little bit disappointed about that.
Yeah, Meg Lugby's just coming over the line now. He does improve. Stays in P5 though, unfortunately for him. But he improved his time by around about 2 tenths, so that's a good lap from Meg. He's showing he's got a competitive qualifying pace. See if he can translate that over into the race.
And Soy Samuel, I'm not sure if he's got enough fuel here to do another run, but once again he's invalidated where it looked like he was on quite a decent lap time there. So real frustration, but he's now got 22 seconds. This will be his last run in the session, and he needs to get a lap time on the board now. He cannot afford to invalidate once again. Beastlass is on another lap. He's going even quicker, it looks like, or that might just be a delayed telemetry there. He's got the Hailstone Renault in front of him. If he's on the lap, he needs to get on with it. If he's not, he needs to get out of the way. Beastlass is going slightly quicker in that middle sector. The Renault looks like he is pulling out of the way. Very late, it must be said. He's taking the pit lane entrance. He's got right in the driver's view of Beastlass through the last couple of corners. It'd be an incredible lap if he still manages to improve even with that, and he does by half a tenth. An incredible effort from the Ferrari driver. What has Monster Blue got in retaliation today? He's only got 2 corners left to go. He's got to find about 2 tenths of a second to get himself on pole position as he flies it around the last couple of bends. He's going to cross the line. It needs to be a 2.8. He's done a 2.7. What a fantastic effort.
He found that time that he lost earlier in the final sector. As I said, he went wide at turn 9 earlier on his quick run, and he was purple in sector 1 and 2, so he's managed to equal his time in sector 1 and 2 this time around and just gained that time that he lost earlier. Great lap from Monster Blue.
I'm sure Beastlass will be cursing in that helmet, perhaps even cursing at the Renault of the Hailstone, who potentially could have cost him a little bit of time in that last sector. It really wasn't too helpful. I'm sure the Hailstone was just trying to focus on doing a lap as another Mercedes coming through, as well as his teammate Focky Good, I think, is coming in to the box as Nightshade. So it's like he's just missed out on the top 10. He's already invalidated his run for now in the qualifying session. So I believe, Charlie, that could be our grid, and for the first time this season it is Monster Blue and we have a Mercedes on pole position. In fact, just noticed Hulkenberger's picked up into P3, and Soy Samuel with the last gasp with crossed the line with 22 seconds to go, had not set a lap time, and he set a 1:03.1. So an incredible effort from the Mercedes driver. He made hard work of the qualifying session for himself, but tremendous nevertheless. But only 2 drivers got into the 1:02 lap times, and that is Monster Blue in the Mercedes, Beastlass in the Ferrari. A great battle between the two all session long. Beastlass had it pole position for about 17 of the 18 minutes, but sadly right at the end Monster Blue pipped in. Hulkenberger, who's looked competitive throughout the entire session, does a well-deserved P3, and he will start from the second row in the Grand Prix. Soy Samuel, a remarkable last lap to get himself into P4. Mashiro looks solid throughout. So P5 a 1 minute 3.1. Simply Superman P6. I'm sure he won't mind that. He was P6 in France and he finished second, so I'm sure he'll be hoping for similar luck. Megalabi improves up into P7, looking much like the Megalabi we was expecting. Hutari in P8, so a little bit of work to do for the championship leader. M Dawn is P9. Speed Queen just about gets inside the top 10, and Nightshades will start with a new set of tyres, or a set of tyres of his choice, from P11. Vagilis will start P12. The winner of Focky Good in P13. SD Mance McLaren will start P14. Ferocious Dan in the Haas will be P15. Lipensky 16th, and the Hailstone will start 17th and last for the Grand Prix. But you were saying, Charlie, for so much time, you were saying you believe that Monster Blue had it in him to take pole position because you knew how much time he had in that last sector, and right at the end, he looked like he just about managed to find it.
Yeah, he completely smashed it, and it's not as easy as the guys viewing, and it may look easy because it's such a short circuit and there's only 10 corners, but in actual fact, it kind of makes it harder because there's literally no room for error. You make one error and your whole lap is destroyed. There's not X amount of corners to make the time back up in, so it's a fantastic performance from Monster Blue and Beastas in second. Really, they are class of the field in qualifying here this week, but let's see if they can carry that pace over into the race.
Absolutely, of course, it was frustration for the Mercedes team in France. They looked quite competitive, the pair of them. They didn't get as many points as they would have hoped. P1 and P4 to start the Austrian Grand Prix. I'm sure they'll be very, very pleased with that one. Can they improve it over? And the AlphaTauri cars, of course, are sitting comfortably in the constructors and, of course, the drivers for Hutari right now. But both of them got a little bit of work to do. Of course, they are outstanding favourites for the Constructors' Championship, so we'll see how that does. Of course, Hutari taking his third win of his Invictus career last time out. Of course, McLaughlin as well with the experience. And we was told that it's going to be dry, but there is a possible chance of rain in the closing stages of this race. So we could be on for perhaps a little bit of a twist late on, which of course will always give that little bit of excitement, a little bit of pressure onto the drivers, and it could be a little bit of a redemption because it is so tight into turn one, Charlie. It's quite a fast corner, but it is still a 90-degree turn. It's easy to go 3 wide in the entrance, but there's a large runoff on the exit of turn one, but it does get incredibly tight. We could see a couple of guys potentially be accident bound.
Yeah, it's very when you head into turn one, it's very sort of welcoming. It's very open, and you think, oh yeah, I can make a move into there. And as you get to the exit, it just tightens up. And as we see in real life at the start, many drivers go in there side by side, and the guy on the outside has to take to the runoff area actually to avoid contact because it is so tight when you get out there. So people just need to keep their heads at the start and get through there unscathed because it is very treacherous.
Absolutely, of course, these guys just doing probably their last adjustments to their setup. Of course, there's not much you can really change, just adjusting their fuel load, probably prepping over their strategy. Of course, they should probably all know roughly what they're planning on doing before they've stepped into the qualifying session, before they stepped onto the grid. But we are expecting most drivers to be doing about a soft medium. That does seem to be the fastest around here, although the mediums will be very, very worn towards the end. Probably need to be doing around 13, 14, 15 laps on the softs if you want to make those mediums last competitively. Of course, it's not unknown to have punches on this game. We do know it seems like go above 60-70% on your tyres, you are sort of in that puncher territory. So there's a little bit of risk involved in that. If you don't want to take that risk, if you're one of these drivers who is maybe a little bit harder on the tyres, or you do need to have an early pit stop for damage, for example, then we could see a couple of guys going onto the hard tyres, which I did try last night. Felt pretty rotten, I must say, and I don't think are a great race tyre, but we'll have to see. And of course, we'll quickly go and have a look at what tyres everyone's gone on for outside the top 10. So Nightshades, of course, is in that sort of pole position of the people who get to select their tyres for a new set of tyres, or they can go on whatever tyres they feel need. And he wants to stay with the top 10, it seems, as there are our predicted strategy. Lap 14 to 16 onto the mediums, or we can put that a little bit earlier, go onto the hard tyres to the end. But it should be a one-stop regardless, unless you've got damage or a safety car. And Nightshades has got onto the soft, so he wants to keep inside the top 10, or keep with the top 10. Vagilis in the racing point is going to follow suit. Bocky Good's going to go onto the medium tyres. SD Mats and the Hailstone are going to go very long into this opening stint then with a couple of hard tyres, and the medium tyres for the Haas of Ferocious Dan and Lopensky in the Alfa Romeo. Now, Charlie, we know how well Monster Blue and Beastas are in qualifying. That's very evident from last week and this week. But we saw how strong Simply Superman, Mashiro from last season, Hotori are, Mdoran and Speed Queen, we know are very, very good racers. So in theory, we could have a real good battle here between, we know the people are very quick in qualifying, but we know just a couple of places behind them, we've got some excellent race day guys.
Yeah, I mean, qualifying is you know, is one thing getting that right, but if you haven't got the race pace and the race craft to back it up, it's completely pointless. So they're going to have to show what they're made of here in this race, because it's going to be very hectic.
Absolutely, we'll just set that to a position change so we can just keep a good old eye out for any fast position movements on this opening lap. And hopefully we won't have this horrible spectating glitch, which just seems to be a thing on this game, even though the game's been out for getting on for nearly 2 months now of it. Just going a little bit haywire on the first lap, so we may have to stand by on that one, but we'll just watch the cars all lining up then, and the Mercedes, just like last night, will be on pole position. This time it's not CRG Gamer, this time it is DX Monster Blue taking the #1 spot. His teammate just a few positions behind him, and Hulkenberger in the Williams staying right at that Mercedes rear wing, and I'm sure Beastas in his own right be looking over his left shoulder at the Williams and looking to the left to the Mercedes into turn 1. He has got the inside line, but there's 5 red lights, and it looks like it will all go, and it looks like it's been a very good start for the Mercedes driver. A little bit of a squirm on for the Hulkenberger. Looks like it's been a flying start for Simply Superman. Once again in the McLaren, he's gone down the inside, he's just about kept it in, and he's gone up into P4 instantly, side by side with Hulkenberger still, and they're going to be side by side coming up into turn 3. Looks like it's fairly clean at the back. Looks like SD Mats has lost a couple of positions, but he's going to go down the inside of the Williams driver. Got a Red Bull going deep into the brakes. I think that might be McGluckby, but he's just about managed to get it slowed down. Simply Superman, another flying start for the McLaren driver, up into P3 already. So Samuel has had a poor start, he's dropped down a couple of positions. Mashiro is stuck into P5, Ferocious Dan and Nightshades having a good old battle. Looks like into turn 4. We're trying to ride on board, see if that is going anywhere. They're still side by side coming up into 6 and 7. Nightshades on those soft tyres should have the grip if he can make it stick around the outside. They're still going to be side by side, and they're going to try and go side by side once again through this next section of turns 8 and 7 and 8. And it looks like Nightshades is just about edged out. Fucking Girl's going to be using all his engine, and looks like we've got the Alfa Romeo of Speed Queen going side by side. It looks like the Renault's just about held onto position this time.
Yeah, a lot of jostling for position back there, but Monster Blue way out in front. He's got a nice gap already. I think he's actually broken the DRS from the car behind, and Beastas has also broken DRS from the car behind him. Oh no, he hasn't. No, that's the gap to Monster Blue. I think my timing screen just messed up here. It's telling me that McGluckby is leading for some reason. Yeah. So Monster Blue, that's a perfect start for him. That's exactly what he would have wanted. He's just going to get his head down now and try and extend that gap.
Actually, the Mercedes has got an absolute storming start. He really was unrivaled into turn 1. A little bit of action going on at the back. Looks like Vaginas has dropped back through the field a little bit. He's lost 5 positionings on this opening lap. The McLaren of Simply Superman has had a very storming start. He was a real, could not miss him. He was so fast out of the blocks into turn 1, and he got the job done. He went side by side of Hulkenberger up into turn 3, and he had the inside line. He was very strong on the brakes. Of course, a little bit of cold tyres, heavy fuel loads, and after you've been bombing it around the DRS, wide open, low fuel modes, tyres at their optimal, it's going to be very strange to then go into turn 3 for the first time with all this fuel, and he did it absolutely perfectly. I'm sure Hulkenberg will still be pleased with his start. He's into P4, and he's still just about keeping inside the DRS zone, which would be absolutely critical. Moving on to lap 3 now, Charlie. It is it's an early penalty for Nightshades, which won't do him a favour at all, but it's crucial they don't fall outside this DRS zone.
Yeah, you've got to stick in it, because if you're not, you find yourself using a lot of VRS to compensate for what you're losing on the straights to the guys around you, so you really want to stay in it just so you can preserve your tyres and your ERS.
And looks like I've got no movers on this lap, but it looks like the McLaren Simply Superman is just about keeping comfortably within the Ferrari's distance of that 1 second. Looks like the Hailstone and Lipinski just having a little bit of a fight, possibly down into turn 4. Looks like the Hailstone's got this one done, and he's on the hard tyre, so it could well be a little bit of damage maybe or something for Lipinski. He's on the medium tyre, so you want to be trying to move up a little bit through the field. We're going right the border of Hultari. It looks like he's all over the back of Mdoran, who Mdoran I think has already picked up 1 place. Bequin's dropped a couple down into P12, and so it's Samuel now picking up 3 seconds. So it's so easy to gain penalties around here, but penalties this early is really going to affect them. And sorry, Samuel dropped a couple of positions from P4 as M Dawn goes very wide into turn 1. I'm sure that'll be a warning as well. Further up the road, it looks like Mashiro could be looking at the rear wing of Hulkenberger going into... Ooh, goodness me, it's very close there. As looks like it could be a good run into turn 4, the first of many overtakes I'm sure we'll see into this corner. But this time it looks like Hulkenberg probably just using a little bit of energy to stay in front at this critical stage, but he has dropped 1.9 seconds and it looks like there's a breakaway top 3 potentially already.
Yeah, definitely. Simply Superman hanging on to the back of Beastas quite nicely. Beastas not being able to close into Monster Blues, doing an excellent job out front. Further down we've got Focky in 11th, who was the highest medium runner, and that's quite an interesting call from him, because last night I think we saw some guys gamble with that strategy and hope for a safety car, and they did actually get one, and it brought them right into play when that came out, because obviously they could just have a free pit stop under the safety car and jump up a load of positions. So that'd be interesting to see how that plays out. And also the guys on the hards, if we're talking about rain coming towards the end, are they going to try and hang it out right until the end and jump up? So some very interesting strategies further down the field also.
This is like Mashiro's got the run on the Williams driver into turn 3, comfortably got the inside line, had the DRS. Hulkenberger is going to stick in the toe. Looks like neither of them have DRS down this little back straight, which is a little bit bizarre. Williams has a little sneak to the inside, but I don't think Mashiro was phased whatsoever. And the Japanese driver moves up into P4, and Hulkenberger will just have to do well to defend his position, hold in this DRS of the AlphaTauri driver. I'm sure he'll be hoping that the AlphaTauri driver can just tug him along a little bit, because the front 3 have all got a DRS gap between them. Is that McLugby losing it on the exit of turn 7? I think it might have been. There's the Red Bull McLugby is just stuck in the gravel trap. He's just slowly coming back into the fray after such a good qualifying performance. It looked like he was holding it in his own around P7 for the Red Bull driver. He's now struggling to get back to the grid, and it's such a shame for McLugby after such a strong qualifying. And we saw him DNF in France through a similar mistake, just losing it out the first complex of corners. That's a real disaster for McLugby.
Yeah, it's what we talked about in qualifying, wasn't it? It's so frustrating watching him, because you know he's got the pace to get competitive results, and it just seems to make these little mistakes in the race that cost him big time. So yeah, unfortunately for Megan, he'll be hoping for a safety car now to recover his race.
We'll just look how we'll check in further down the field, see how Ferocious Dan is doing in the Haas, one of the big movers in his tour. On those medium tyres, looking down the rear wing of 3-time champion Speed Queen, who's got herself recovered a little bit up into P10. Of course, Nightshade in front does have a 3-second time penalty already, as does a few drivers in fact. I think Sorry Samuel, and I think I might have even seen someone else get one as well. Simply Superman early on getting a 3-second time penalty. That's not really going well. Mashiro looks like he's just about to break the DRS zone as well, as we'll have a look how M Doran is doing, just about inside the Holtari DRS as well. A little bit of a train here forming from about 4th place down, as M Doran's lost it out of turn 1. He's done so well to recover. He's going to use all his battery to takes P8.
Yeah, Nightshade's the beneficiary of a mistake there from M Doran. Suarez, Samuel and Hulkenberger still in the DRS train behind Simply Superman with Mashiro as well. So Superman has dropped off the back of Beastas. He was clinging on to him really well to begin with, and now Beastas has seemed to just got a move on and has closed right up to the back of Monster Blue. So could Monster Blue be struggling with those tyres? Did he take too much life out of them early on?
Could well do, as I say, the DRS will be so effective and so crucial for that Ferrari drive. It's been a real breakaway, as looks like Mashiro, I'm sure, will be looking to get a move on very, very quickly in the AlphaTauri cars. Hulkenberg now picks up 3 seconds, so the 3-second time penalties are coming thick and fast for those, particularly those inside the top 10. I think it's got to be said, as I think McLugby has pitted for a new set of soft tyres, so he's somewhat 30 seconds down. I'm sure he'll be hoping for a safety car, but what can Mashiro do? He's in the slipstream of the McLaren driver, and well, it's not really what I asked for. There's the McLaren driver who's come up into P3 round the hairpin. He's going to have to try and plant the throttle the best he can. Looks like Mashiro might have a little bit of a squirm on there, so it might just cost him a little bit of a chance into turn 4 on this particular lap, as Beastas now just half a second, so it looks like he might just be already, as you point out, just be a little bit better off with his tyres.
Yeah, Beastas just went incredibly deep into turn 3 and almost just completely swiped the back of Monster Blue, so he's got to watch out for that. But I'm just looking at their battery power levels, and Beastas has got a lot. He's pretty much full up, whereas Monster Blue's down to half, so Beastas looking very comfortable at the moment behind Monster Blue.
And see, all eyes facing forward, I'm sure, from Ashura at the moment. He's just 4 tenths a second behind. Simply Superman is going to get a nice little toe up into turn 1. He had a very good run out of turn 1 previously when he got past the Williams of Hulkenberg, and it looks like he's using his energy to try and get another move on the plane. He desperately wants the outside line, but I'm sure Simply Superman would be fine with that, as he does defend the inside this time. What is the traction like for the McLaren driver? It's certainly much better than Mashiro's, who now could be under a little bit of pressure from Hulkenberg. No, Hulkenberg is not quite close enough. It's so close between the leaders as well. Beastas is just edging closer and closer to that Mercedes driver. We're on lap 9 now, 36 lap race. Of course, the laps do tumble by. We'll have a look on Focky Good, who seems to be all over the back, almost pushing the Haas round turn 4. And these two on the medium tyres, squabbling over supremacy of the medium tyre runner. And but of course their race will come, and they've got to try and stick inside the DRS speed queen if they can possibly help it. As once again it's like Beastas coming around the last corner now. Is half a second behind, and we could well be in. The pit window is now open for the hard tyres. Do we have any takers on this lap or the next? Doesn't quite look like it yet, but a good run. A little bit of a short shift to get absolute best traction out of turn 1. Looks like Mashira's be lining up a move on Simply Superman potentially at the same time, but it looks like Monster Blue is going to go down the inside defensively. It looks like the Ferrari driver's already got the move done. The DRS very effective for the Ferrari driver. What has Monster Blue got in retaliation? Absolutely nothing, it looks like, in terms of traction. The Ferrari driver's got the move done. Further back, Simply Superman and Mashira are side by side. Mashira's got the inside line and DRS. I'm sure Simply Superman is using all the battery and energy and fuel he can possibly ever think of. He's going to try and hang it around the outside. He just about yields and gives the position to Mashiro, who's looked very feisty at the start of this race and moves up into P3. A good move from the Japanese driver.
Yeah, good move from Beastas out front as well. He got, you know, he's a bit braver on the brakes than Monster Blue, and I think Monster Blue quite sensibly didn't fight it too hard because he knows he's got to play the long game here and just go with Beastas.
Oh, so it's identical to, almost identical to his teammate Nightshed's just lost it on the exit of turn 8. He was all over the back of M. Dawn. He's looking really good for potential move in another position, but the Red Bull driver's just lost it, just maybe overheating his tyre a little bit. It might well come into the pit lane at the end of this lap, maybe just pushed his tyres one lap too more. In fact, you can just see him there on the mini map on the right hand side. He's taking that inside line into the pits, and real shame for the Red Bull driver. Sorry about that, Charlie.
Yeah, that's all good. Yeah, it's unfortunate for both Red Bulls, isn't it? It's looking like it's going to be a non-point scoring day for them at the moment with the way their race is going. I'm not sure, as Vagelis pitted for the hard tyre early on as well, because he seems to have dropped all the way down to the back. So yeah, a few drivers not having the greatest of days. No,
I'd say the Red Bull losing it all by themselves through error just from the same corner. It's a very difficult corner. If you just take a little bit too much speed, a little bit too much curb on 7, you can just feel the car twitching when you're trying to plant the power through turn 8. You can just lose it. It looks like McLaren also getting a little bit fastly through that corner as well. Simply Superman seems to be really struggling with his tyres. He's already lost the DRS to Mashiro. As down gets a 3-second time penalty. I think he's already got a couple. You can see, oh, look how much they're struggling with their front tyres from Hulkenberg. I'm sure the dirty air is not doing him any favours at all. As Samuel is going to come into the pit lane, so an early stop for him. Is he going to go onto those medium tyres, or does he think he's going to go onto the hard tyres? So he does think that it's better off to be safe than sorry. He's not going to risk the medium tyres bursting on the last few laps. We're going to go with Hulkenberg. He's going to send it down the inside. He's got it still in overtake mode. He's going to just about stop it just about in time. McLaren's just going to come back underneath him, but it doesn't look like he has any traction left. He's going to duck into the slipstream, but the DRS for the Williams driver just make sure he is safe and holds up into P4. And Simply Superman, after a very good start to the race, he looks like he's just dropping back a little bit.
Yeah, he doesn't seem quite to have the consistency with his pace that the others do, and they're just moving past him and moving on. So it's unfortunate, but he had a good result last week, so it's looking like his tyres are completely gone. He's all over the place at the minute. I think he needs to get in and get rid of these.
Yeah, I think he might have just had a little bit of moment from turn 8 there again. Look, it seems to be a corner that's tracking a lot of people out tonight, because it looks like it was an easy move for Hultari as into the pit lane.
Monster Blue now closing. You get that position back. I'm sure he's just trying to hang on to it at the moment, because BSAS is looking very comfortable out there. So yeah. BSAS peels into the pits now. So BSAS blinks first with the pit stops. What's he going to change onto? Is he going to go for the medium or the hard? He'll probably go for the medium from here, but let's see what he goes for. He's gone for the hard tyre, I believe. So BSAS not feeling comfortable going onto that medium tyre, and he's gone for the hard. So is Monster Blue going to try and extend? Even though BSAS tyres look like they're in better condition from what we could see with their pace, it's looking like Monster Blue's going to be the one to extend and possibly try for that medium, but let's see how it plays out.
You're just having technical difficulty. My microphone, but like I think you're just pointing up there, picking up on the edge of that point, Charlie, of our race leaders coming into the pit, of BSAS going onto the hard tyres. I'm sure Monster Blue will be looking to try and go onto the mediums, perhaps if he can extend this stint. As Ferocious Dan goes down the inside into turn 4 on the Renault driver. A nice little battle between these two for a lot of the race. It looks like Simply Superman and Hultari are almost pushing each other down the back straight into turn 4. The McLaren's going to be so close, almost bang wheels under braking. The McLaren's going to try and go around the outside still. Hultari down the inside, they're going to go side by side, they're going to go around this corner of turn 6 and 7. It looks like Hultari's got the better grip on the medium. He's going to try and hang it around. He's going to have to do it again through turn 7 and 8, and the AlphaTauri driver's just about done it, and the McLaren's squirming on those hards, but a fantastic move from the AlphaTauri driver.
Yeah, that was a good move. Still got Monster Blue going round at the front, so he's definitely, it's looking like he's going to go for the medium. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out between the front two. I hope it doesn't spoil the fight. It shouldn't do. Should make it a little bit more interesting, but BSAS already up to P3, so he's not really lost too many positions from his pit stop, and it looks like he's about to make easy work of Ferocious Dan.
Well, it came into a real awkward position now. These two absolutely squabbling. Managed to take Focky Good on the entrance of turn 3, and it looks like he's got the Haas driver on the exit of turn 3 through the DRS straight into turn 4. He's now back up into P2, and he can go and try and close down Monster Blue. He's clearly just trying to eke these soft tyres out a little bit, and maybe be hoping for a safety car, something, who knows. But a few drivers who are in positions. 2 Red Bulls of Nightshades and McLovin down in P14 and P15, so a few seconds off the lights of Speed Winner. Sorry, Samuel, who looks like he's lost a little bit of ground as well. The battle going on still between the Haas and Renault as well.
So Monster Blue is pitted for those mediums, and BSAS is already going past the pit lane exit, so BSAS is going to be well clear out front. The undercut working massively here, and yeah, Monster Blue, he's found himself probably quite a way off the leader, I think, probably about 5 seconds, so he's got a lot of time to make up actually on those mediums, but he should be able to do it while they're still fresh.
Meanwhile, here comes Hulkenberg, so still chasing a podium in his mind to try, but if he's going to do that, he's going to have to send it down the inside of Lipinski, and it's just going to run the Alfa Romeo drive wide. He had to be so late on the brakes, so just about managed to slow it down, and he's going to try it again, coming down the hill into turn 4. Just haven't quite got the straight line speed. He thinks better of it. Lipinski goes very deep under braking, locks that front wheel, makes Hulkenberg's life that little bit easier. I'm sure we'd say thank you very much for that one, as we're going right aboard of Hultari. Nice shot from the helicopter here, as Lipinski looks like he's really struggling with his medium tyres. He's done over 15 laps on these now, the Alfa Romeo drive, so he has got to be careful running the limits of this. Hultari is in absolutely no mood to wait. He wants to get onto the back of that Williams, and he sends it down the inside of the second to last corner. Fantastic move, great confidence on his rival as well. And we'll look behind him as Simply Superman similarly impatient to get past the Alfa Romeo driver, sends it down the inside with DRS, and it's a very good move. Can he get a good exit? Because he could line himself up on a move for the AlphaTauri driver here, because Hutari does not have DRS at the moment, even though it looks like he's in the, no, he's just about hovering at that 1 second gap. As another penalty for the Houston, and let's say Hulkenberger is getting stuck behind the McLaren of SD Matt, so maybe a little bit of team games going on here for the McLaren. Can the McLaren of SD Matt hold back Hulkenberger, make it easier for his teammate? Looks like he can just about. He's going to go a little bit wide. What can the Williams of Hulkenberger do on the exit? He's going to be patient, so he's going to ride this one out. Here on Monster Blue, looks like he's got a job done on Focky Good, and 3.7 seconds now, so he's got about, what, 19 laps to try and close up this gap.
Yeah, and I think he will close it. He's gaining rapidly at the moment, even though he was negotiating the Renault and the Haas of Focky and Ferocious down. So yeah, he cleared them really well and really efficiently in a matter of 2 or 3 corners. So as he sets the fastest lap on that lap that he was overtaking, so he looks like he's really flying at the moment, but he's going to have to keep this pace up if he does want to catch BSAS.
Meanwhile, SD Max looks like he could be easy prey here for the Williams of Hulkenberger. He's going to go defensive down the inside. I think the move will be easily done. I mean, look at that, the strength of this Williams in the straight line. DRS and a load of batteries. Oh, very heavy on the curve, but SD Max is really going to compromise his exit. He's on the hard tyres. Not the most competitive of tyres, but it looks like he's used quite a bit of battery there, so he might once again be potentially playing a team game here, but he's not going to be having his teammate too much if he keeps on locking up like that. But he's doing a good job for the moment of holding down Hutari. Simply Superman looking all over the back of that AlphaTauri driver as he picks up 3-second time penalty there. Not quite sure how he's managed it in that little section of the track, maybe taking a little bit too much entry curve on the right to turn 6 potentially, as Hulkenberger must have made a mistake somewhere. And now it's like, is that going to be Hutari sending down the inside of the second to last corner on the McLaren driver? No, not quite. Hulkenberger as well, looking super fighty. This is a fantastic battle for 6th. SD Max really is the cork in the bottle, holding up these 3 who have already done their pit stop, but he's doing a fantastic job of it. And looks like further up as well, we've got Mashiro making a move down the inside of Ferocious Dan. We're going to look further back as Hutari is now going to go out of the slipstream and is going to go down the outside, a similar move to what Hulkenberger did to SD Max not over a lap ago. It's now Simply Superman. Looks like he has a little bit of a dive at the Williams driver. He's going to think better of it. Hutari looks like he's already checked out from this little toggle of cars. What can Hulkenberger do on the exit? He's got a fantastic run of slipstream. He's going to go down the inside. He's going to have to repeat the move on the McLaren driver, and it looks like he should have the traction to get it done. As SD Max is coming back at him and fighting him very hard, but a little bit of a moment there, and it looks like the Williams driver is finally through.
SD Max just needs to get out of the way now. His teammate's behind him, so he's done all that great work defending, holding people up, and it's brought his teammate into it, but now he's just holding his teammate up, so it's not ideal for the McLaren team. SD Max doesn't look like he's got the pace at this stage in the race on those older hard tyres, so yeah, he's not doing his teammate any favours here by staying in front of him.
No, absolutely not. Dirty air and the DRS, and he's still not going to get out of the way on this straight line speed. Maybe playing a second fiddle to a teammate is not what he has in mind at all. As we'll see what Simply Superman can do. He has got much younger tyres, but he has got to be careful, because when he plays this move on his teammate, in fact his teammate's going defensive into turn 3, so the McLaren driver's going hammer and tong at each other. SD Max leaves plenty of space for his teammate, and the much better tyres for Simply Superman means it's an easy move for him. What can Dawn do in the second? Williams in P10. He's all over the back on the McLaren. He's going to try a little feint to the right hand side to maybe get into the mirrors of SD Max, who looks like that front right, but he still keeps it very nicely tucked around there. And Dawn on those hard tyres as well, he almost goes into the back of him. He's got so much more stopping power in that Williams on those much fresher hard tyres. Further up the road, Monster Blue picks up a 3-second time penalty, which is absolutely crucial for his chances of winning the race. He is bringing that gap down quite comfortably, 2.1 seconds now, so he is making inroads into that lead. As Dawn picks up 3 seconds. There's quite a few drivers going wide there. As Dawn goes wide once again, and it could be on for a moment with Soray Samuel coming into turn 1. The Mercedes driver gets the move done before the corner, so a little bit of a moment there. I think, in fact, looking at that front wing of Dawn, I think he's got a broken left end plate, which is going to be absolute murder around his corners. His speed queen is now getting involved.
Yeah, that is going to be horrendous. It's all pretty fast corners here, apart from a couple of them. You're going to want that front downforce definitely, as Doran, yeah, it's looking like he's battling with speed queen here. Is she going to get a run on him? she's using her battery to try and get past, but Emdoran's got a slippery car in a straight line, it looks, so I'm sure she'll be able to make her way past pretty soon, as he has got a broken front wing, but it's not looking like it's going to happen this lap.
No, fair part of the field. Looks like I've got Mashiro making a move on Focky Good, and he's in his own right. Seems to be in a little bit of a class of his own in a way. He doesn't seem to quite have the pace of the top two. He's seen very good race pace. Has it AlphaTauri drivers now. Speed Queen absolutely sends it around the outside. This all-in driver even coming to the pit lane. Looks like he might be. He's had enough of that front wing and those hard tyres, so he is going to come into the pit lane. We're going right on board with some of these guys. Look at Hulkenberger from his view, from the helicopter, comfortably inside the DRS zone. In fact, we're going to have a look at the Mercedes of Soy Samuel, who looks like he's lining up a move on SD Mats. Overtakes Slipstream and DRS. I think this will be an easy move for the Mercedes driver, and he does beat himself up into P7.
Yeah, nice easy move. Simply Superman, massively lost out because of his teammate SD Mats. He's dropped right back off Hulkenberger and Hutari, who are very close together. But if they start to battle, he could work his way back into that little duo. So yeah, Mashiro going well in P3. He's looking pretty comfortable. He's got a nice gap back to his teammate Hutari, so a better race this week for Mashiro, definitely. And Monster Blue now down to 1.2 seconds out front. Is he going to get into that DRS and start making moves on Beastas?
Well, you'd think he might need to, because you imagine the medium tyres would be very, very poor at the end of the race, particularly when they are puncture territory. So you'd think he needs to get ahead. Of course, he has got a 3-second time penalty as well. I don't believe Beastas does currently, so that could be a little bit of a problem for the Mercedes driver. So it does need to try and break that. As we see, it looks like Lopensky comes into the pit lane on those medium tyres. He, of course, started on those tyres. We'll see how Hulkenberger can do as he continues to stay in the DRS zone of Hutari, super late onto the brakes into turn 3, but not quite close enough, not quite getting the traction out of that corner in comparison to the AlphaTauri car. Once again, as we know, the AlphaTauri cars, we know how quick they are in the race trim, and they've moved up into P3 and P4, but they are 8 seconds adrift of the top two, so it's very much a two-horse race with 13 laps to go. It looks like further down, Speed Queen could be the next car to try and negotiate their SD Mats roadblock.
Yeah, she'll be pretty eager to get past, because she can see cars in front that are starting to form a little train, and she'll want to be getting on the end of that and getting some more good points this week. Is SD Mats going to peel into the pits? He's gone to the inside. He does, I believe. Yep, he's peeled into the pit, so that came at a good time for Speed Queen, as she can get on with her race now. It's given her a nice little bit of DRS down the home straight.
Yep, up into P8 for the Alfa Romeo driver, so some solid points for her at the moment. Ferocious Dan goes a new fast lap on the race, 1 minute 5.8, and he moves up into P10 as well. So him and Focky Good really could be coming out this little pack of Speed Queen, Sawyer Samuel, Superman and Hulkenberg. If they can get their foot down, if they've got the race pace that they can show, then they could potentially get even bigger points now on a new set of soft tyres coming at this little group of cars on old hard tyres. It looks like Monster Blue for the first time has moved in within a second of our race leader of Beastas since the pit stops. Those medium tyres are slowly but surely reeling him on to the rear wing of that Ferrari as they come down the home straight, DRS wide open for the Mercedes driver, but giving him a lot of lap time around here, paired quite nicely with a nice big toe up through this left-hander. It's flat, but it is considered a corner. This is turn 2 we're going around, and turn 3 is this very tight right-hand hairpin, using the entrance curve on the left there to just try and open up the corner there. Monster Blue and getting on the power the best he can. You can see the Ferrari taking an odd route down into turn 4, maybe just trying to weave a little bit of slipstream. Monster Blue, interestingly, only gained a tenth or two there, so I think Beastas might already be trying a few gains with his energy to try and keep that Mercedes as far away from possible to his rear wing.
Yeah, I think because Monster Blue's been pushing so hard to actually get into the DRS, he's now probably just going to try and sit in it for a little while and preserve some energy before he goes and attacks, because you need to save some energy before you attack, because you don't want to attack with low energy, because then once you're past, you've got nothing to pull away, which he's actually just made a mistake at turn 9 and dropped out of the DRS, but he's still got it somehow. Must have been in it over the detection point, but yeah, I'm sure Monster Blue will sit here for at least a couple of laps and try and preserve some energy.
Yeah, I think the dearest detection zone runner is just on the exit of turn 9. Thankfully for him, not on the exit of turn 10, so he just about saved his bacon there a little bit. And yeah, it's just pulled him back inside the second for the second detection zone into turn 1. So he's still just comfortably sitting inside a second, and this is our closest battle in the entirety of the field right now. We'll keep an eye out on Focky Good and Ferocious Dan's progress. It looks like they're slowly creeping in on those three little toggle cars of Simply Superman, Sorry Samuel and Speed Queen, and Simply Superman 7/10 of a second behind Hulkenberger. So of course again we can't quite count out Hulkenberger and Hurtado on those medium tyres. They don't quite manage to pull away from this little toggle free cars on the harder tyres, and those medium tyres do go off, then they could be on for a little bit of a ratted last few laps, because those hard tyres will begin to overtake those medium tyres in terms of performance. And likewise will happen with Monster Blue and Beastar. So as you say, you just want to save a bit of battery. You want to try and think this through methodically and strategically to try and get this job done and to try and break away. But he has got to get this move done fairly soon, because of course he's got to break at least 3 seconds, I believe, in terms of time penalties as well. And using far more entrance curve on the left hand side than the Ferrari driver. This is the closest he's been. Half a second behind. He's going to have to use a lot of energy if he's to get the move done into turn 4 from this far back. We're right on board with him. He's still not anywhere near close enough, but he's looking just a little bit more racing now. Looks like he's beginning to really go in for the kill now.
Yeah, he's going to want to get it done soon, because he does need to pull a bit of a gap before the tyres sort of even themselves out with performance levels. Also, what we haven't talked about is the potential for this rain that was mentioned earlier. If this does come at the end, the guys on the softer compounds could find themselves a bit quicker, because you've just got a bit more traction on the greasy rubber. So yeah, the guys on the softer compounds could come good if it rains. It might just help them get a little better traction on that greasy surface. So if that rain does come, it's going to be very interesting.
There's Monster Blue. I probably imagine he might have picked up another warning there on the exit of turn 1. Just lost a little bit of time, just took a little bit too much on the exit, and again he's looking super late on the brakes into turn 3. That Mercedes car looking absolutely planted. What's his exit like? Pretty good as well. He's gained a lot of time up into turn 3. He's got so much confidence there. He's going to have a little bit of a run at the Ferrari. It's going to have to be an absolute dive bomb to get from back here. There's a little bit wide there for the Ferrari driver, so Monster Blue again looking just a little bit more confident. Wait a bit more. Superman, who as we quite mentioned earlier, looks like this could be the turnover point for those hard tyres, and he's looking very feisty on the back of that Williams driver. Yeah, it's got a couple of time penalties himself. I think Hulkenberger as well might well have. Speed Queen as well stuck under the rear wing, as we've got a yellow flag, and I think that might be the hailstone. We might have just dropped it on the exit of turn 1. He's back down into 17th. Yeah,
he's just spun himself around. He's got the leaders actually coming up behind him now, so he's going to have to get out of the way if he gets those blue flags, as these two guys will be battling soon, I'm pretty sure. Monster Blue is getting a pretty good run. Monster Blue's, although the tyre sort of changeover point for the performance between the two is looking like it's going to come soon, Monster Blue's car is he's getting it pointed in every corner where he wants it, and now he's going to try and go down the outside into turn 4. He's not going to be able to pull that off. No, Beastar shuts the door on him. But yeah, Monster Blue's car is looking very nicely hooked up at the moment, and he's getting it turned in pretty much everywhere that he wants, even though he's in the dirty air.
Yep, a very nice defensive drive from there from Beastar. Potentially, he may well know Monster Blue has a time penalty. I don't believe Beastar in the Ferrari does at the moment, so it could be just a time of trying to run down the clock from Beastar, and if the moment does come, he wouldn't be too object to letting the Mercedes through, providing of course he can just try and stay in his DRS and take the win on time penalties. It's looking in the Ferrari man's favour, and Monster Blue, even though he does have presumably the faster car point of the session, meanwhile Simply Superman and Hulkenberger are going to relentlessly continue this battle around the last couple of corners. Speed Queen as well, and Focky Good and Ferocious Dan arriving just 2 seconds behind. So it could be on for last lap battles. Monster Blue looking as close as he's ever got to the Ferrari. He's going to go defensive once again. He's going to try and hang it around the outside and get super close. And Beastar's just going to run him out of room, force him to the exit curve. Fair enough there from the Ferrari driver. He shuts the door with 6 laps to go. Time is running out for Monster Blue.
Yeah, very nicely done by Beast. That's just shown him the outside and said, look, you can either back out or go in the gravel, and sensibly Monster Blue backed out. So nice defending, but Monster Blue is looking more and more eager as we go on through the laps. And as I'm seeing rain now on my screen.
Yeah. It's gone very, very dark all of a sudden, as it does tend to do in this game, and it's only a streak of rain comes down, and there are the final few spits then. Meanwhile, Ferocious Dan really in a few more positions, but Ferocious Dan decided, I've got more pace than you, I need to come through right this very second, and it's moved up into P. And so base, yeah. And Beast's losing it a little bit loose on the exit of turn 3. No battery for Monster Blue down this straight, so maybe just charging a little bit, maybe trying to set up a move on the next lap. But those hard tyres in the rain and these worn mediums in the rain, it's going to be a real struggle to keep this one going.
Yeah, we need to keep an eye on Ferocious Dan and Focky actually on those soft tyres, although they've been on them a little while now. As this track gets greasier, they should still have a fair amount of grip compared to the others, so as the others start to lose tyre temperature, these soft tyres will keep their temperature better, and they should get better traction on the surface. So it'll be interesting to see if they can start gaining some positions as others find it more and more tricky in these conditions.
5 laps to go then of this Austrian Grand Prix in 5th gear, round turn 1 for Monster Blue, and looks super close to the back of this boy. He's using overtake, he's planning his move, he looks like he's got a little bit battery left. He's just going to go defensive into turn 3. We know how strong the Mercedes driver is into turn 3. He's going to try and hang it around the outside, and almost Verstappen Leclerc style is being forced to go off onto the runway. He still might, even with DRS, have another chance into turn 4. The rain is coming down fast. I'm wondering if anyone's going to try a risk of maybe a couple of laps on inters just for the last few laps, because the rain is certainly coming down. Only 4.5 laps to go then. Looks like Hulkenberger and Simply Superman, looks like they might have just swapped positions as well, as Simply Superman over seconds ahead of Hulkenberger. Now Ferocious Dan is right on the tail of Speed Queen as well, so he's taking out about 2 seconds there, and not far off a lap. I'm wondering if Speed Queen's had a mistake.
Yeah, it could be, or it could be, as I was saying, if this track's getting greasy, these guys are going to have a massive advantage over the guys ahead. So possibly Speed Queen made a mistake, but she is on those hard tyres which are going to lose temperature a lot quicker than the soft, so she might start struggling very soon, and it looks that way as Ferocious Dan's climbing all over the back of her through turn 8, turn 7 and turn 8.
Seconds a very weird line. It's got to be careful because Focky good as well, and this is right at the tail end of the points, but this is going to be a fantastic battle for the last few laps. Looks like Monster Blue might have just had, maybe he's running out of grip on those medium tyres. He's just not quite close enough to Beastlas. It's looking like Beastlas is doing all he needs to do to just about hold on to the lead with the last few laps to go. But Ferocious Dan 2 tenths a second behind Speed Queen. He knows, you're almost losing it on the exit, maybe a little bit too early on the old overtake button, but he's got DRS wide open. Speed Queen will not. I'm sure Speed Queen will be using overtake. He's going to go semi-defensive, leaves the door down the inside wide open. The Haas driver, just a little bit of a nudge on the rear tyre. Looks like Focky Good is now going to get his nose involved. He's going to go wheel to wheel with the Haas driver. These two have had a good old battle for the majority of the race. Now Focky Good with the slipstream from Speed Queen, and now gets the move, going to do well to slow it down, almost rear-ending the back of the Alfa Romeo driver as he got the traction to get past the Alfa Romeo. Now he's struggling massively for traction in these damp conditions, just about holds on to the back of the Haas.
Yeah, smart move by Focky, just tucked into the slipstream of Speed Queen ahead and managed to pull ahead of Ferocious Dan, who kind of pulled out of the move on Speed Queen. So yeah, Focky now in the driving seat to get into 8th position. Is he going to be able to do it this lap? He's going to want to clear her pretty quickly if he wants to crack on to the guys ahead.
And to say, will we have any takers onto the intermediate tyres? Well, we've got Nightshades and the Hailstone. Easy for them to make that gamble. They were currently sat last but third. So there's a Hulkenberger with tyres. Has he completely lost it? He's completely lost it on the exit of turn 1, and from such a promising position of P6, the Williams driver for the second race in a row will not finish. But meanwhile, Focky Good is going to try and move down the inside of Speed Queen for P7. He's going to go wheel to wheel banging, and it's going to be an open door for Ferocious Dan. Going to go 3 wide on the exit of turn 3. Focky Good going to hill right hold moment down the back straight. The Haas driver doesn't have DRS. The Speed Queen is now going to come back at the Renault driver. As the Renault driver Halstone on the intermediates, a lap down, faster than all three of these. Ghosting on, of course, for tonight. He's going to unlap himself in all this chaos. Fucky Good gets himself up into P7. A crazy couple of laps there as Hultari and Monster Blue caught right up to the back of Mashira and Beastas respectively. But what a battle for the last lap.
Yeah, that's going to be incredible. See what's going to happen out front, actually, as Monster Blue still all over the back of Beastas. They're both struggling terribly for grip as well, and getting no traction, still wheel spinning in 4th and 5th gear. So yeah, it's, as we see, the Hailstone on the Inters was a lot quicker. Simply Superman pitted on the second to last lap for the Inters.
That is a
They're going to have to
gamble.
be a lot quicker for that to work.
It's a very short lap time round here. It's worth it. I remember Spa 2008. There was a couple of drivers I remember pitting on. I think it was literally coming onto the last lap. A couple of drivers pitting onto intermediates. That worked. Of course, Spa's a very, very long track. Round here, you can sort of tiptoe around, and it looks like most drivers are doing that. As a Haas approaches down, finally gets a move done on Speed Queen, runs massively wide on the exit turn 3, but it's just about got the move done. I'm looking, scouring and scanning up and down the intervals to see where we've got battles. It's like Beastas and Monster Blue have swapped over positions, so it's Monster Blue. He has got a 3-second time penalty, of course, but he does start this last lap in the lead, and lap 36 Beastas can just keep it in between the white lines. Monster Blue goes wide at turn 1 again. More drivers onto the intermediates. We see Simply Superman. Looks like on those intermediates could be on for a few more positions here. He's going to make up quite a lot of time, but people are struggling like crazy in front of him. Of course, he pitted from around 5th position, I believe. We're going right aboard back with the Ferrari driver of Beastas, but Simply Superman, keep an eye on him on the left hand side. I'm going to go right on board back with him because I think he's already going to get past. Oh my goodness, he is flying. Of course, he pitted from 5th position. Could he be getting even more than that than he bargained for? Only time will tell. He's on the last lap now. He's got 3 cars in front of him who can barely keep it on the road. The McLaren driver is absolutely flying past him. He takes 2 cars on the exit turn 1 alone. We're going right on board with our race leaders, who at any moment I feel could spin and drop it in the gravel. They've hung it out on these tyres. As Simply Superman 3 tenths behind Focky Good. He reclaims that 5th place already. I'm looking where he is on the mini-map. He's got a little bit of time. He's got 10 seconds to gain in half a lap. That might be too much to ask for, but as we come around the last corner, Monster Blue is going to cross the line first. Does penalties rob him of the win here tonight? It's going to cross the line first. Beastas does take the win. Congratulations to the Ferrari driver. We're going right on board with Simply Superman. He's gained a lot. Well, he's gained 3 seconds in a few corners on these guys, but it's not going to be enough to get another position. But it does go from 5th to 5th in terms of pitting for the intermediate tyres. It might even have been a little bit closer to the AlphaTauri cars. Maybe if he pitted 1 lap earlier, it would have even found himself on the podium. But Hultari's going to cross the line P3. I don't think these guys have many penalties. Simply Superman does have a lot of penalties. He drops from about 5 seconds back to 15. So if Focky Good can get it across the line quick enough, he may well get 5th place. In fact, he does. Ferocious Dan goes up into P7. Speed Queen moves up into P6 on penalties. SD Mats does a very nice race to P8. Nightshades on the intermediates recovers to the points. So despite spinning and facing the wrong way early on in the race, a late strategic call gets him a couple of points tonight. Ferocious Dan penalties annoying for him. Sorry, Samuel, I believe as well, is missing a front wing end plate. Either had an accident on the last lap or had so many penalties it dropped him back. We missed that in all the last lap action, but massive congratulations to the Ferrari driver of Beastas and Focky Good. Well, got driver of the day through glitch. I think it was in France. This time I think he's got a bit more of a reasoned case, as he did a very good strategic race and held on to it well in troublesome conditions up into P5. But there is the Ferrari driver, top step of the podium, and takes home some very, very good points for Ferrari in the constructors and gives his championship drivers tally a real boost as well. But a fantastic race between these two, Beastas and Monster Blue, in an absolute class of their own. Hultari is on the podium once again in Invictus and really showing off to be a real fine start to the season for the AlphaTauri driver. Didn't have the pace in qualifying, it seemed, but once again had his really nice, clean race. And that was a fantastic finish. It looked like for so long, Charlie, the rain was never ever going to come, but all of a sudden it really did power it down. And what an end to the race.
Yeah, it was a great ending. Very, very entertaining from Simply Superman. Maybe it didn't quite work out for him as he dropped a couple of positions over the line, but it was entertaining for us to watch. So a great race from Beastas. He started second, ended up on the top step, which I'm sure he'll be very happy about. Monster Blue will probably be kicking himself. He definitely had the pace. I think he actually had the quicker lap out of the two drivers, but he just wasn't as consistent, and the tyres seemed to drop away from him in that first stint, which allowed Beastas back at him. So and Hutari from 8th position on the grid, last week's winner. Another great race, really, showing that in the race he does really come alive, and he doesn't need to qualify in a great position to have a good race.
No, absolutely not. He seems to be just nailed on for a good result, from 8th on the grid up into P3 onto the podium, and Mashiro as well, his teammate, coming home in P4. So more good points for the AlphaTauri drivers. Focky Good, a fantastic race from him, P13 to P5, an incredible finish. Speed Queen as well, from P10 to P6, kept it clean on penalties, so well done to her, picking up some more good points for the Alfa Romeo team. A team of clowns with Simply Superman and SD Mats in particular gave us quite a lot of entertainment, it must be said. In the McLaren, he kept a lot of people alive and on their toes on the opening stints on those hard tyres. He defended very, very well and gave us a lot of entertainment in the middle phase of the race. Nightshades, a fantastic recovery for him after an early spin, and he gets himself a couple of points. Ferocious Dan, he could have got so many more points for him tonight, but 14 seconds worth of penalties is a real kick in the teeth for him. He knows he should have got more than that. So is Samuel as well. I'm sure he'll be kicking himself. I think he might have had an accident in the wet conditions on the last few laps. Lipensky recovered to P12. Vagilis and M. Doran, I think, just had a few errors in that race as well. And I'm sure Hulkenberg will be absolutely devastated with his race, travelling so well for so much of it. He was running in the top 5, fighting for podiums early on, but he just dropped it on the exit of turn 1. It looked like he was in the wall, he's in the barrier, out of the race. Just a few laps to go for the poor Williams driver. I'm sure double DNF for him to start the season. I'm sure we'll be hoping for better luck next time. But if you enjoyed what you was watching and you can't wait for more, then we of course run in parallel on Tuesday nights with the Xbox League F2, and of course the Xbox League is run on Twitch, and you can find that at twitch.tv/Invictus Racing League. Wednesday night, tomorrow night, 8 PM live on YouTube, we have the F3 and F4. They are run at 8 PM live on YouTube. Ryan and Jakob will bring you F3 and Jake will be bringing you F4. Thursday night, Realistic Performance League, and that'll be brought to you on YouTube, 8 PM, Malcolm and Tim. Sunday night, Xbox F1 League, they start off round 3 in Zandvoort. That's brought to you by Dan and Kendo. And of course, Monday night, 8 PM, live on YouTube, PS4, the F1 League, brought to you by Gareth and Sab. And of course, you can find us on all the socials. You can find us at Instagram at Invictus Racing League, Twitter at Invictus RL. You can find us on Facebook, where you can find all the sorts of photo albums, interviews, news, and of course anything you like. And of course you can get onto the Invictus website if you want to get yourself on the grid for the next race or the next season. Put your name down. Of course we will have a look and try and get you into the seat, of course, as fast as possible. And of course, if you enjoyed and you haven't already, click that subscribe button, but give that subscribe button a press, and give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed. But Charlie, I'm not sure how many of the drivers we've got in there for post-race interviews just yet.
Beastas won't be joining us, and I haven't heard from Hutari, so it's looking like just Monster Blue at the moment.
Well, I'll see how that one goes, but we'll just give them a few minutes to try and get in if they are coming. But Charlie, in terms of driver of the day, you gave it to Speed Queen last race. Who really caught the eye tonight for you?
I'd probably have to go with Beastas, because although he didn't get pole position and didn't seem as quick initially, he really just sort of learned as the race went on and just improved his pace and eventually took the win. And you could also give a shout out to Hutari, who again didn't qualify that high, down in 8th position, but had a great race and ended up on the podium. So it'd have to be out of those two for me, and you'd probably give it to Beastas just for grabbing the win.
Yep, Absolutely. We'll see if we can get Hutari in for the post-race interviews as well. But we'll move on to our second place man, DXT Monster Blue. Congratulations. Yeah, you two, with Beastas, you seem like in a complete league of your own. Did it feel quite lonely at the front?
Yeah, it did in a way. I seemed to be constantly just focused on Beastas. I wasn't even looking behind. I glanced a few, it was like 5 seconds, and I knew it was the whole time it was going to be the race between me and him as long as one of us doesn't make a mistake. Yeah, it was a really fun race. Even though I didn't get the win, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, certainly was a very fun one. You was constantly in the DRS zone for I think the last 10 laps. I mean, it could have gone either way. The penalty did seem critical in the end, the 3-second time penalty. Are you sort of kicking yourself at that, or is it because it is very easy around this track? Is that just one of those things that you just shrug off as it can happen around here?
Yeah, for sure. I think for me it was going to be inevitable to get a penalty. It was just going to be how many penalties. I think for Bisas, I don't know how he didn't get any penalties. I saw he had 2 warnings. That was only at the end of his hard stint as well. So fair play to him. Like, you can't knock him for just playing it. Well, not playing it safe because he had great pace as well. But for getting no penalties as well. So well played to him.
And of course, you was in a league of your own, the pair of you in the race. It certainly looked that way in qualifying as well. Charlie actually, in fact, picked up in commentary. It seemed to be you was the only. It looked like it was Beastas's pole to lose. It looked like you was the only one who was really coming close to him. Charlie spotted you could find a little bit of time in that last sector, and believed you'd be the only one to knock him off pole. It looked like you really just about at the death of it nailed that last qualifying run.
Yeah, for sure. I was a bit worried going into it because it did mess up a few corners. I could have probably, if I was per lap, I could find another 2 attempts, but really I was probably going into the last sector, I was even, like the same as my lap before, and I found, I think it was 3 attempts just in that last sector. So yeah, I didn't expect to get it. He was really consistent in qualifying, he was just improving each time. I could tell from that he was going to be really consistent in the race, which he was.
Absolutely, and of course we'll move on. Just a final question: the rain at the end. Well, myself and Charlie was told there could be rain at the last few laps. With about 6 laps to go, it looked clear skies. All of a sudden, it goes dark, and the rain certainly did come down. It was almost sort of Spa 2008. If some people may remember that one, it was absolute chaos. There's a couple of people who dived into the pits for Inters. Again, is that something you ever considered, or was it just too risky from your position of P2?
It was too risky. I think I would have stayed out of even if he pitted, because I think with me with the 3-second penalty, I had to get I didn't want to do something different to him if he stayed out. I didn't want to pit because I knew it was too late. But I think if he pitted, I would definitely have stayed out still. Yeah. So yeah, the rain. I was just trying to keep him under pressure. I was kind of wanting to stay behind him as long as possible to force him into an error to get another warning. But yeah, he just stayed strong and didn't get another warning, so fair play.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations. In fact, since you're the only one here, I'll give you one last question. In terms of, you haven't got the race win tonight. Didn't get the race win, sadly. You had a great pace in France as well. Is your mind on getting the first race win in Zandvoort, or are you very championship focused? Is that the bigger picture for you?
Yeah, for sure it's the bigger picture, but I think it's going to be very even between me and Beast the whole season, purely because I think our pace is very equal, but it depends on the track. I don't know if he's on wheel or pad. But depending on that, if he's on wheel, because I'm on pad, there's going to be some tracks which he'll be better at, some tracks I'll be better at, and I think Zandvoort I feel pretty strong at, so hopefully I can get a result there as well.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations to you. Really well deserved P2. Best of luck for Zandvoort, and of course the rest of the season I'm sure we'll be seeing you on the podium quite a few times if today is anything to go by. But that was a fantastic race from all of the podium runners. Of course, AlphaTauri, as we were saying there, Charlie, really did get their act together in the race, even though there was quite a few seconds adrift, and the McLarens as well had a good little race. I think the Williams will be a little bit disappointed, particularly Hulkenberg, after such a strong race. But of course, we'll see how it goes in round 3 for Zandvoort. As I said, Tuesday night, 8 p.m. live on YouTube. We will be back, and of course F2 on the Xbox as well, on Twitch at you can find twitch.tv/Invictus Racing League. Of course, Mondays are always F1 League, PS4, Gareth and Sab, 8 p.m. Wednesdays and tomorrow night is the round 2 of the F3 and F4 League. PS4, Jakob and Ryan bring you F3, Jake in F4. Realistic Performance is Thursday night, 8 p.m. live on YouTube by Malcolm Tim, and of course Sunday, Xbox F1 by Dan and Kendo. twitch.tv/Invictus Racing League, socials at Invictus RL for Twitter, Instagram at Invictus Racing League, and of course Facebook. And of course, if you haven't already, click subscribe. And of course, we hope you very much enjoyed your evening with us, and we'll see you again hopefully very, very soon. Have a very good night.